Hey everybody, this is Patrick Lee. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit. I've changed poses from the last video. Hey, it's good to see you on here. I'm super excited about the show right now. I'm going to be sending this out. I want all of my realtor friends to tune in, and I've got a special guest coming on right now. I'm going to introduce him back into our area here in Amarillo. Jay Kinder is in the house today. Jay, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Patrick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm going to turn you up just a little bit. Cool, man. So this where are you at there in this fancy studio of yours?
Yes, fancy studio. This is where only place I'm allowed to have all this stuff is in my office in Puerto Rico, actually. So just loving it here, loving the weather.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jay. I don't need to go on and on because I talk way too much when I get on video. I mean, that's good in some instances, but you're Jay Kinder, longtime realtor, mentor, coach, leader of the HoneyBadger Nation, leader of NAEA. Tell us a little bit about that, where you're from, how you got started, and some of the accolades. Not that you like to brag or anything.
Right. Yeah, I'll try to make it mercifully brief introduction. Right. Yeah. So I've been in real estate now 24 going on 25 years. Probably most known for my best years selling 500 plus homes a year, number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker, although never number 1. Really, out of frustration of the journey that I had to go through to be successful at real estate, started a coaching and training organization, now known as the National Association of Expert Advisors. And did that with my business partner, Michael Reese, a guy that I got into real estate and helped him get to his first $1 million in 1 year. And he did it in his 3 years. His third year in the business, he did $1 million in GCI. So, and we just learned there's a process, right? There's a process for success. So, there's the right steps in the right order. There's the great thing about real estate is there's a million ways to do everything. But there are some things strategically you can do with, the right plan and taking the right steps in the right order that gives you clarity and confidence on what you're doing, to stick with it. Because there's another shiny object coming every day in real estate, as we all know. Somebody trying to sell you something, but having a plan and being successful. That's what we do. I think what we're probably most known for now, obviously, is not just having a track record of success, but having a track record of helping others become successful too, which I think is really what you're looking for in a mentor and a coach. And it's what's fun for us is helping people accomplish their goals and reach their dreams.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, we made the switch over to EXP from KW, the big box brand, and we're there a few years. And one of the first things we did, one of the things that you were known for at the time, and you've been carrying forward, is the Double Your Business Lives, and traveled all over the country. I think probably in maybe some other countries teaching Double Your Business Live. And we had a huge turnout here, and we brought over a team, and that led to bringing over some other teams, some other people joining. And and at that point when we came to EXP, the team I was on was already coaching with you guys at NAEA, and just loved that. And since we came to EXP, we call it the group, it's one big fire, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things that you teach are things that we use daily and sometimes take for granted because they're second nature to us.
Right.
But we learned what we could learn where we were, and then we realized, why beat our heads against a rock if there's a proven strategy, a plan moving forward. And like you said a couple of times, right things in right order. John Kitchen says that all the time in all of your videos, training, right things in right order. I'm like, yes, it's important. Get those right things in the right order. But that really was what, sort of started us, and I went out a year and a half ago, started my team, and we've quadrupled our business. Right. So we didn't just double. We just took your strategies, your teaching, and quadrupled our business. And that's been great for us. How did you come up with a lot of these? I know you've coached with a lot of good people as well. You spent tens of thousands of dollars. Was that sort of a hard road, learning how to find the things that were really going to make you successful?
Yeah, it was a really hard road. I think that's why a lot of what we do resonates with agents is because there's not a clear path to take,
Right.
and and you go to one particular coach, or you guys in Amarillo probably don't have people pass through town as often as everywhere else, but you still run into these different coaches, and they have this philosophy they're teaching. And what I learned is that they were all teaching little bits and pieces to the puzzle, but they weren't really teaching the business
Right.
side of it. And so you might have someone, like Mike Ferry's great, but he's prospecting only. Well, that's not the business. It's a pillar to the business, but it's not the only way. And so
Right.
when you kind of understand, okay, what are all the ways, right? What are all the pillars? What are all the revenue generating pillars you can have in your business? Ways to grow the business, and then understanding what's the strategy. What are you trying to build? And what are then you can start to piece together what is the right next step for me. Like what's the where should I focus my attention next. And when you get real clear on, we could do all of these things, but this is the one that's going to get us closest to the goal. And then it your confidence goes up, and you stick to the plan. Whereas I find that most agents that we bump into and that come to our events and stuff, they feel like they're lost or they're stuck, one of the two, and in terms of what they should do to break through to that next level. And so, yeah, I mean, it was obviously I think engineered over time of having gone through it, but then as we've helped literally thousands of agents go through this process, it really, it becomes, and we see like your success. If we called it quadruple your business, people probably wouldn't believe it, right? But that's
Probably not.
right. But that's what can happen when you're doing the right things in the right order. Things start to compound upon themselves. Your brand you start to build your brand and really attract business versus chase business, which is one of the main topics we talk about. I'm not a big fan of chasing business. I like to attract business.
Absolutely.
And so those are all things that, when you do them, and understand the philosophy behind it and why you're doing it, your confidence just goes through the roof that, hey, I'm doing the right things here for my business for the long term. And if you stick to that long enough, you'll see, you're going to see the results.
Absolutely. You talked about that getting clear. And that's one of the first things that I did a couple of years ago. And you guys put out basically a clarity report, right? And that teaches you how to get clear.
Right.
And, when we're done here, I'll post a link to that clarity report. And the good thing about it is, through the coaching, all of the guys at NAEA, I get an email or a link nearly every other day to someone else saying, hey, do you need to get clear on where you're going? Fill out this clarity report.
Right.
So it's a wonderful tool. And you guys put it together if you're going to coach somebody, you kind of need to know where they want to go.
Right.
So I'll post a link to that in the comments below this video when we're done here, to the clarity report. And at that point, they can fill that out and they can get in touch with the folks at NAEA. And who knows, we'll set them on the path to double your business live, or
there you go,
quadruple it, wherever they want to go, right?
Whatever that goal is, right? I think that is the thing that really made what we do unique is there's not just one way to do something. And so everybody's different. You have different goals and different strengths, different weaknesses, and some things you got to push through. But there's a lot of times that you can maybe you don't want to hit the phones and make those calls. And what are other ways that we can grow the business that don't require some of that kind of work. And so there's it's your plan, not ours. And I think that's the thing about it that people really get is just, well, there's not just trying to teach me this one thing that I could do. It's not just tactics. It's understanding the whole strategy.
Right. So back to a little bit to your history. You started out in a little town in Oklahoma.
Yeah. It actually makes Amarillo look really big. A lot in Oklahoma. In fact, there's a lot of similarities. My mom's from Amarillo, so I'm familiar with Amarillo. Obviously, been there to visit you guys
a couple
of times. But yeah, I like it's a very. I think a lot of the things that I went through in my market are what you guys probably faced there in Amarillo as well. And so I've got an affection for Amarillo because it is similar to the market that I started my business. And really, as far as like all of my sales success, 4,000 plus transactions in that marketplace over 10 or 12 year, 15 year span, something like that, before I stepped out and then moved to Dallas, Texas. And it's definitely that was the old stomping grounds.
Absolutely. And this gives hope to people in smaller markets. And we talk, in a lot of the videos that we watch, a lot of the questions that are asked are by people in smaller markets. Amarillo is, plus minus 200,000 people. It's sort of been there for quite a while, but we have so many other small towns like Lawton all around us, Dumas, Borger, Pampa, Panhandle, Canyon. And there's so many agents in small markets that may not have the support, the leadership, the coaching available to them where they're at. I would definitely encourage them, to hitch their wagon up with a great company like NAEA. And if they're looking for someone that can lead them, and someone that's been there from a small market and taken the steps, got clear on where they wanted to go, and achieved those dreams, So it gives hope to people like that are in these smaller markets. When I was still at my previous brokerage, I had dreams. Here's my first goal. I want to make six figures. I want to make $100,000, right? And I thought if I could make $100,000, I'd be rich.
Right.
And that's small when you start out, 9 years ago in real estate. I'd always heard, I had a great aunt that was at Century 21, a gold jacket when I was growing up. That was the big status symbol.
Yeah.
And I've always heard you can lose your shirt in the stock market and investing in other things, but real estate will always treat you right. So I thought if I can just get into real estate, I can achieve, steady income. That would be success.
Right.
Then as we get into that, we realize that these are just stepping stones to the future. You always have to move the goalpost. If you just stay in that end zone, you're kind of stuck, right?
Right. No question about it, man. And it's funny you mentioned the goals. Like when I got into real estate, they passed out this goal sheet thing that we use a modified version of today. It was actually very helpful. And I did it every single year because they always I was at Coldwell Banker. My dad owned a Coldwell Banker. Yeah. And so I'd fill it out. And then one of the questions they asked was like, where did your last 10 deals come from? And so, you're thinking, you go back and look at your last 10 deals and you're like, oh, wow, this, that, and the other. But I remember my first goal that I had the very first full year in the business was 35,000. I think it didn't get anything above 100,000 over 5 years. That was my small thinking at the time. And I'll never forget doing that goal setting sheet. And I set the goal at 500,000, but I reverse engineered what had to happen to get there. Which is part of that process and part of the process we use today. And it was not that many deals to get to that. And I was like, that's unbelievable. And then we hit it. And the next year we set that double, $1 million goal, $1 million goal. And the crazy thing was that we hit 500,000. We hit it by I think we hit 510,000 or something crazy like that. And I remember thinking, is it this easy? You just have to understand what you need to do in order to hit the number. And that's how it played out. And the same thing with $1 million, we did $1,030,000 that next year, which seemed impossible at the time. And no one in our company had ever done anything close to it. And it starts with that, that clarity on that goal. That's why the clarity report is so valuable. It starts with your goal. And then when you start reverse engineering, well, what do you actually have to do? Well, how many listings do you take? What percentage of them sell? How many buyers do you need to talk to? How many of them are going to fall through in escrow? All of those, how many offers do you need to write is a question these days we have to ask. But, you start looking at those metrics and then, now what the leading indicator is to your success. I need to talk to this many people about buying and this many people about selling. And that's, when you're tracking that and doing it daily, it's just like anything else in your world that you want to change or improve. When you're doing something daily, you can get to the result, and that's part of the process. You just have to, you have to fall in love with that part of it. But once you do, it's, whatever the goal is can be accomplished.
Absolutely. You're so good at that. You communicate that very well.
Thank you.
That's you really do. But you've been through this process for so long. That took the company. You left Lawton. You guys moved to Dallas, and we went to your training, the live training, the boot camp in Dallas. And then, of course, we're going to do it every year that you guys offer it. We did it virtually last year because due to COVID, and had the agents on the team go through boot camp as well. And that's another thing that you offer to teach people how to actually successfully work with buyers and with sellers. Because a lot of it, a lot of agencies will just partner you up with a seasoned agent and say, go get them. and you're going to be responsible to that agent. You're going to split your deals with that agent until they think you're proficient enough to go out on your own. And at NAEA and the HoneyBadger Nation, we like to call it.
Yeah.
You can learn
HoneyBadger Nation.
That's it. You can learn the tips, the tricks, the strategies to go after these people right away. And actually, you'll have the experience. I mean, you'll have that knowledge of someone that may be a 7, 8, 9, 10-year experienced agent right in your hands. And you can go out and start competing right away and achieving the numbers that you want to hit. So from there on, you guys moved. And so now, the offices are still there and you're living in Puerto Rico.
Right. Yeah. Thanks
for you.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. I have to tell you, it's one of those things that wasn't even on the vision board to move and live in Puerto Rico, but our whole family's here. And actually, I think there's probably 25 folks from EXP on the island. We refer to it as EXP Island now.
There you go, man.
Because of the business advantages of being here and living here. But it's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And all because of the business model of EXP. It's something that that we have. That's an opportunity for people to accomplish, and that's get financially free and live out the rest of your years doing what you love, which for me is helping agents. Like that's what really excites me. So it allows me to do what I love to do. I do it from here, usually remotely. I will be in Dallas for a boot camp. I'm committed to one more. I might do a comeback tour at some point.
There you go, comeback tour.
But I think in December, the next boot camp, I'm going to come in and teach my part of it, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Wonderful. I'll be there again.
Yeah,
I love that. You got to, you'll have to get the band back together, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I can't stay away for too long. That's for sure.
No, I mean, it would be hard. People commenting on here. One of my agents, Elva, just recently came back from Puerto Rico and did all of the things from skydiving to zip lining through the rainforest and the scuba diving. And she loves Puerto Rico. And now one of my other agents is talking to her travel agent about taking a trip down there.
Make sure you come see me. Reach out to me, and we'll at least show you a good time for part of a day or whatever. So
absolutely,
come visit, come see me.
What's funny? My goal too.
Yeah, one thing that's funny, the most underestimated thing about moving to Puerto Rico was how many people actually will come visit. Like it's been literally unbelievable, and it's great because it's people that I got friends that live 10 miles from me in Dallas and Frisco, and they've never been to my house, but maybe once, and then they've been twice, already to Puerto Rico, So our friends from I got a friend from high school that came and visited. I hadn't seen him in forever, and so it's cool to be able to to live that kind of a lifestyle and be able to show your friends a good time when they come and visit, and so it's fun. It's a good time.
Well, I value your time very much, Jay. I appreciate you jumping on here for a couple of minutes with me. I want to talk to you about that just for a minute here at EXP, and that is freedom. Me, you, a lot of the posts that people make, Nick, our buddy Nick Krim, always making posts about this is what freedom looks like.
All right.
And that's one of the things that I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to touch on is many people in real estate don't see a way out or a way off of the hamster wheel or the treadmill, if you will. And I've had other people here that I've worked with in the past and another broker that continues to reach out to me. And the things that I ask them are, what's your exit strategy for real estate? Is that something that you have where you are? Touch on that just a little bit about freedom and what it means to work with a system that can actually eventually get you out of production, get you off the treadmill, and building a life and a business worth having to create freedom for you in the future.
Yeah. And, I think it's one of those things that I personally experienced, such success in selling real estate for so long that I really believed that everything was going to take care of itself. I wasn't worried because I knew how to make money, that I was going to be able to retire. There was going to be an exit. At some point I wouldn't be, I could just stop selling at some point. And so, I learned after, spending 10 years, building a business that was very difficult to step away from, without it, falling apart. and with all the other challenges of, your best talent, that you develop and that you bring on, or, eventually they're going to go off and do their own thing. That's that sometimes is the vision, right? Like you want to help people to get to their goals. That's part of the success of being in a position to have a team and support people around you. And so, when it's a bittersweet moment though, right? That, you pour into them and you kind of show them the way, and then they go off and do their own thing. And it's like, oh man, now I got to replace that person. And so I think, when you start really doing the math and the truth of it, for me, it was, I was independent. I think at some point, most agents do the math at whatever brokerage they're at, and they realize they may be paying too much for the value that they're getting. And that's a pretty common thing to happen when you do the math. They don't always make it easy for you to do the math, but at some point, when an agent realizes that they're the brand, you are the brand, you own the relationships with the clientele, and they don't really care if you have giraffes on your sign or balloons on your sign. Or they just don't. And half the time they don't even know what company you're with. They just know you, and they refer you as a person. And that's, once, you kind of get to that point in your business, you think going independent, which is what we did. And it's what we coached a lot of people to do at the right time when they were paying too much money. Right. And so being independent, my mind was like, well, shoot, why would I join another brokerage and pay them anything? I mean, we have all this coaching and training, and we had the technology at the time. Like there was nothing that we didn't feel like we had. And so we weren't even really willing to even look at EXP because of that. Yeah. And I think most people will tell you, and most people watching that maybe aren't an EXP would say, I understand the EXP business model. And then they would say a few things about it. And they would be probably somewhat correct, but they would be missing some of the really big key pieces of the business model that makes it really magical. And so, that's what happened with us. We just, once we finally did our investigative work, which I think is what every agent should do, you find that there's a few pieces of this business model that are unlike anything else that we've ever seen in the history of real estate. And one of that is the collaborative piece of being partnered up with folks like us, and us being able to, the things that we do, not having, to charge money for, that we can add value and help you with, and anything from, building funnels and helping you with lead generation and things of that nature, we would have charged a bundle for, to, the fact that you get all the technology that you need in order to do that at EXP. So you're not having to go out and solve, by spending a bunch of money on tech. And, to the stock, which again, this was my big aha moment was when I did the research on what I thought I was building with Michael was a successful company. It was already successful, but the exit strategy at the end of, I knew what 10 years, building this business that we were building, which was a partner built business with agents basically all around the country, 2,000 agents by December 27th, 2024. It was a Friday because we were going to celebrate. That was the vision. And as we were doing it, I did the math. It was, the typical exit, if you were going to sell that company, was 1.5 to 3 times EBITDA, or 1.5 to 3 times your profit. And which meant, and then you have to stay on for a couple of years. So they basically buy you back with your own money, and you stay on. And so, and that was the kind of offers people were getting. So I was like, man, for 10 years I could build this thing, and I'd be building this thing that I wanted to build, and my vision, but is that the goal? No, that's not the goal. Like the goal is to have ability to stop and have, and not have to work. And the component of, revenue share, and that combined with the stock gives an agent the ability to have a true exit. And not everybody, is going to, bring a bunch of agents over and make a ton of money in revenue share, but you certainly can make, a passive income that offsets the cost of your house, your car, your electric bill, the things it costs just to live every month. And so, absolutely, you can focus on it and build it to something incredible. And I've certainly been the beneficiary of that. But that's not what everyone needs and what everyone wants. But everybody knows a few people that get into real estate. Everybody knows a few friends that are in real estate, either locally or somewhere else. And, and when you can introduce them to this opportunity and they actually investigate it and look at, the value that you get, most agents that are at EXP aren't paying EXP anything. You're getting 16,000. You get that back in stock by hitting your production called Icon. Yep. And so there's that. And then you bring a few friends over and you get some, revenue share from them. And if they bring some friends over, and you can earn some more. And, all of that is like, wow, like for it's really kind of crazy, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I just believe every agent should be at EXP. The only agent that shouldn't come to EXP is an agent that's, maybe closing 3 to 5 deals a year and has no aspirations of closing more, and they're on 100% split somewhere. Like that agent, well, yeah, you might just stay where you're at. But anyone else would be crazy not to take advantage of this really innovative and agent-centric business model.
It's incredible. It's been nothing short of incredible for me. Many of my friends here, I mean, the stock is nice. It's, we don't lead with that. We don't lead with revenue share, but, I still get a profit share check from a previous brokerage.
Right.
And that was $7 yesterday, day before yesterday. And I'm like, well, I'm thankful for that $7, but it pales in comparison to the mailbox money that shows up every month in revenue share.
Right.
Yeah. And the investment properties that my stock is buying for me totally as an aside business. You know what I mean? So,
right. It becomes clear, that you have a way out, and that's not that we want out, right? I think everybody in real estate has the same kind of mantra, right? It's like, I want to do this till I die. I love it
till I die.
But that's not what we really mean, right? Like, we don't want to really be knocking doors at 94 years old and die, right? Like, that's not the goal. So, that's we say that because we don't, either we're not worried about it or we just keep kicking the can down the road. Yeah. And I can just tell you, stop that. You will die poor, and if you're not set up for the future. And in real estate, unfortunately, there's just not a mechanism for us that allows us to save enough to, just barely enough to make, pay your taxes. And then on top of that, you got to save for the future. And if you're like me and you bought a bunch of real estate that has, I wrote checks to for most of my life every month instead of getting checks from. There's and a ton of capital and investments and out of pocket and into doing that. That was everything I had. For that needed to be able to to carry me to a retirement, and it just wasn't. It didn't work out like I would hoped it would have. And so you better have a plan. And I think EXP is just if you're going to do this anyways, you're going to be selling anyways. You might as well be getting stock. You might as well have the upside, and you might as well have the support and the training and the technology and everything you need to be successful. And so, for those that are hungry and want to get to the next level, there's no question this is a place you should be investigating joining.
Absolutely, Jay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. You're a wealth of knowledge. Every time I get to hang with you or talk with you, it's a pleasure, man. I enjoy it.
Same here, Patrick. Love you too, man. You're awesome.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you soon. We're going to jump off here and get back to the grind. And I'll talk to you soon, Jay. Have a great day, man.
Right. You too.
Bye-bye.